The actress Sohaila Yacoub, of mixed Tunisian Flemish origin, has been cast as the Fremen Shishakli in Dune. This video may come across as controversial, so bear with me, but I have a few things to say about the Dune production. And it's a subject I haven't really spoken about on this channel because I feel it didn't add anything to the discourse and the discussions that were going on at the time in regards to MENA representation in Dune. I did retweet a few articles which I found fair and truthful and honest, and articles that actually made sense. So let's get straight into this Dune news. Now, I just want to say that Sohaila Yacoub is a fantastic actress, very talented, and I can totally see her in the role of a Fremen, and as a Fremen warrior. I found this article headline pretty funny. Dune Part 2 has found its Shishakli. The character casting no one asked for, the character casting no one was anticipating, and no one was waiting for. Shishakli is a Fedaykin squad leader of the Fremen. And the thing is, if you look at Shishakli in the book, first of all, it's a very minuscule role. The male character, who is a Fedaykin, hands the maker hooks to Paul Atreides to ride the sandworm. Perhaps it's supposed to mirror the scene where Chani hands Paul her crysknife. And again, it's like women giving Paul the tools he needs to become a man. I think it's something that Denis Villeneuve is definitely focusing on, which is the very powerful female roles in Paul's life. But Denis Villeneuve is completely amplifying this. And of course, we know that because he changed the gender of Liet Kynes to serve this purpose. So perhaps this is also why he gender changed a minor character in Shishakli. Now, of course, Shishakli is a minor character, so it doesn't really matter about the gender change. Whereas I can definitely see why stronger opinions about Liet Kynes remain, because it's a bigger character. And perhaps I'll cover that in more detail in another video one day. Shishakli was a man in the book. This brings me on to my next point. Why are only Fremen characters being gender swapped? Is it because the production feels that they can take liberties with Fremen characters simply because they are not as important as quote-unquote main characters? I can hazard a guess and say that I don't think that the Dune production thinks that Fremen characters are important. Perhaps they think they can take liberties with that. They couldn't even get the names right of the two Fremen that were already cast in Dune Part 1. You had Elmi Rashid Elmi, who played the Fremen Shamir, and you had Takia Nuwal, who played Tanat. But in the film, when Liet Kynes addresses Shamir, Takia Nuwal answers, and when Liet Kynes addresses Tanat, Elmi Rashid Elmi answers.
Tanat, will you find still suits to fit our visitors?
Yes, Liet.
Shamir, coffee service, please.
Of course, Liet.
So I'm sorry to say, but someone screwed up, whether it be the Dune editor or the sound editor, and someone missed it. This went through so many people and someone got it wrong, so it is a screw up. It shows a carelessness. It's almost like they don't care about these Fremen characters. I was going to explore an article with you written by Hannah Flint called Why Arab and Islamic Representation Matters in the New Dune, but the article seems to have disappeared. However, some YouTube channels have already covered this, such as Film and Page, and they did a good job of covering it. Hannah, however, has written other articles about this subject, and she makes valid points, and they are fair. But it seems that generally there was no commotion about these issues. There wasn't a big impact on social media, almost like people didn't care, while they probably should. Because if you take these things out of Dune, you're losing a large percentage of the elements of the story, especially in terms of covering the Fremen, their culture, the way they live, the way they look, their language, and their belief system. I'm thinking to go into all the articles in detail. Let me know if you're interested in that. So in short, I'm happy that Sohaila Yacoub is cast in Dune Part 2. She does have a strong yet also graceful presence in the TV series No Man's Land, so it gives you some kind of idea of how she will be as a Fremen. I think the show has a few issues, but that's another subject. If there is a spice trance scene, I think she's going to appear naked. It's just the impression I get based on the No Man's Land series. And perhaps they were looking for actresses who are comfortable with doing those kinds of scenes. But if it's going to be a PG-13, I don't think they'd be allowed to have a lot of nudity like that. So it may not happen. But I highly doubt that they'd get Zendaya or Timothée Chalamet to appear nude. So they may want to find an actress who is willing to do that just to replace what they couldn't show in Zendaya or Timothée Chalamet appearing naked. That's just a hunch. So it will definitely be nice to see Sohaila Yacoub in Dune Part 2 as a Fremen with her Arabic origins being part of the Fremen. But I hope it doesn't end there. I hope there are more MENA actors cast for the Fremen in these roles. And I hope that in her casting, it isn't some kind of scapegoat to be like, oh look, we've cast an Arab in Dune Part 2. We care, we are including MENA rep. Because this is only a very small gesture compared to the amount of Arabic in Dune, which I'll definitely be exploring more on this channel in the coming future. Of course, I'm not trying to cause any trouble or spread any kind of negativity, but I'm just trying to make things clear and express opinions that I believe people are holding and that I've been thinking about for a long time. And I find this article by the Dune casting director quite rich. This article appeared March 17, 2022. In the article, it talks about casting Zendaya, Benjamin Clementine, and Sharon Duncan Brewster, and Stephen McNeely Henderson. So they're clearly only focusing on black actors here, but there is absolutely no mention of casting MENA actors in Dune. It's almost like the elephant in the room, they're just trying to ignore this completely. But this brings me on to my next point, which is, why are these actors of MENA origin only being given minuscule roles in Dune? And I really want to tackle that point because I think it's an important point to explore. There was someone who briefly appeared in Dune Part 1 with an Arabic name, but they'll no longer be mentioned on my channel, and I don't wish to promote them because of false accusations that were made against a man that almost ruined his life. And just research Mark Pearson and you'll know what I'm talking about. It was proven in court that he was innocent. I was very shocked to read that story. So that casting wasn't a win at all for anybody, in my opinion. And even if it can be claimed to be any kind of representation, which it really isn't, the role was too minor, and I don't want to see them in the new Dune Sisterhood series or anything related to Dune ever again. But moving on, so even though Sohaila Yacoub is cast in Dune Part 2, I still don't see it as a win necessarily, or a fulfillment of them casting MENA actors in Dune, because the role is too minor. Unless they really beef up her role, make her some kind of savior of the entire Fremen population, then maybe it would be a win. But if she gets only 5 minutes of screen time, that is nowhere near enough MENA representation in Dune. And the article just shows that Dune's casting diversity goals isn't focused on MENA representation. Apparently Dune Part 2 was supposed to be more Fremen-centric, so we'll see how Denis Villeneuve portrays this and represents them. But I'm hoping to see more actors from the Middle East and Southeast Asia be a part of the Fremen in Dune, because the Fremen culture is based on their cultures. You know, the Dune movie has been filming in the Middle East, but what have they actually done to represent the Middle East? What have they done for Middle Eastern people, for Middle Eastern actors? Do you see where I'm going with this? You know, I've been watching the Dune cast and crew very, very closely. When crises have occurred, did they speak out about those crises? Again, I didn't really want to focus on this, but when the Black Lives Matter movement happened, a media outlet associated with Dune spoke out about the issue and created a post and showed that they cared. But when the tragedy in Lebanon occurred, when all those people died in that horrible accident at the port with the explosion, where were the posts? Where was any evidence that they cared about them? There were only a few cast and crew who actually did post about these things, and they did show that they cared. And in doing so, they earned a huge amount of respect from me. And that's why they should be supported in their careers, because they clearly aren't one-sided individuals, and they're clearly good people. And this one particularly hits home because I have Middle Eastern family, so I am sensitive to their issues, but I'm sensitive to everyone's issues. I'm sensitive to the world's issues. And when there are people who are in the public spotlight, who are working in the Middle East, who are benefiting off of the Middle East, I just feel that they should show the same empathy, or some inkling of empathy. Perhaps they were too afraid to use their social media platforms to show that they cared. I don't know. And if there are some people who think that Dune put Jordan on the map and helped increase tourism, that's not true at all. Everyone was going to Jordan and the Middle East way before Dune was out. Ever since Indiana Jones or Lawrence of Arabia, even. So that's not true at all to say. I want to recognize all of the actors and crew members who actually did show their quality. The first is Josh Brolin. He posted this on his story, Prayers to the Victims, and it was so beautiful and moving to see something like that. So I thank him for that. And he even shared this on his story, encouraging donations to the people of Beirut. and it was a huge deal at the time. Jason Momoa also stepped up and shared this on his story over on Instagram, promoting emergency funds and donations, and he even added, "Love this, Lebanon, thank you," etc. So he just showed that he cared, and that was something that I was really looking for when this tragedy struck. So Josh Brolin and Jason Momoa really did step up in this case, because I really was hoping that they would care about something as devastating as this, where they also showed that they care about other issues too. And when the lives of Palestinian children were taken, some spoke up as well. Sharon Duncan Brewster, who plays Liette Kynes, shared on her story this: "Now let's think about the extent of what's going on in Palestine, Xinjiang, Brazil, our own neighborhoods. Big or small, we all have a part to play when it comes to making this world a better place. We all matter." And this really warmed me to her even more, because it showed that she cared. She wasn't just filling this role of a Fremen filming in the deserts of Arabia and taking advantage of the actual situation. She also demonstrated that she cares too. Someone else who spoke up and posted was Gloria Obiano, who for the longest time was believed to have played Hara, but is officially called a female Fremen. She posted a video on the Middle Eastern crisis and what was going on with Palestinians at the time. She also posted a fundraiser about urgent medication needed for the Palestinian people. Again, it was just something really nice to see. On the crew side, I haven't seen anyone other than Kate Arithmendi, who is the second unit director of photography on Dune, and she shared this strong statement on a story, criticizing the media's coverage of the situation. Gloria and Kate posted several times on several different occasions over many weeks and months about these issues, so it shows that they care. And this is something I wish I saw with all of the cast and crew, a lot more than we did. And the biggest celebrity who did speak on these issues is probably Zendaya. She has shown support before. She also did share about the urgent medication needed for the Palestinians as well, over on Instagram on her stories. And of course, something like this was hugely welcome and appreciated, and I think they should be recognized more for doing this. That's why I'm talking about this. I don't want the actions that they did to go unnoticed, because they were noticed and they were much appreciated. And it makes me like them even more as human beings, as individuals who care about other human beings. And there is a saying that silence speaks volumes. So people with followings on their social media platforms who were silent should reflect on that, and can learn a thing or two from the ones who actually did speak about these issues, irregardless of what may have happened to them or irregardless of the repercussions as a result. The so-called repercussions on talking about humanity and caring about other human beings. I think that they should have taken a stronger, more apparent stance on some of the issues that occurred in the Middle East while working on Dune Part 1, just as they took a clear stance on other political issues in the world. It shouldn't be selective. If you're going to speak or post on political issues, speak on them all or don't speak on any at all. But what do you think about this casting? Should there be more Arabs cast in Dune Part 2? Let me know in the comment section below. Check out some of my other Dune videos or some of my other popular culture videos here.